Stephanie Singer, and my pronouns are they, them, theirs. I'm an authentic self-advocate from Norfolk, Virginia. I would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone who's attending the Arc of the United States 2024 National Convention. I'd especially like to thank those who have made the choice to get up this fine and somewhat chilly Saturday morning for my breakout session. Now, without further ado, let's get started. My educational background strikes a balance between specific and broad. I hold an Associate of Arts degree in Liberal Arts from Tidewater Community College and a Bachelor of Arts degree in Communications from Virginia Wesleyan University. On three, 1, 2, 3, go Marlin! Some of my professional accomplishments include 12 years of experience in communications, having my writing published in a regional newspaper and a national aviation magazine, and membership in Our Voices, a self-advocacy group for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I also have 8 years of experience working with neurodivergent and neurotypical children in educational, religious, and recreational settings. In addition, I hold the second Dawn Black Belt in World Taekwondo, certified by the computer. So if I slip into my instructor voice for whatever reason, please don't be alarmed. I promise I won't make anyone in this room do sparring. But despite these achievements and many others, some people still can't or won't take their ableism out with the rest of the trash. I have suffered under legal guardianship, and more recently, a financial conservatorship. These restrictive and completely unnecessary strangleholds harmed me and also harmed countless others. My goal is to speak out against these measures in hopes that soon everyone will be able to live a self-directed life of their choosing. Show of hands. How many of you are parents? Okay, a good number of you are parents. Now, if one or more of your children have intellectual or developmental disabilities, keep your hands up. Oh wow, that's a lot. Let's begin to begin. Before I turned 18, my parents embodied the textbook definition of autism martyr parents. The term mostly describes my mother, but my father is much better. They thought autism had ruined their lives and routinely told me and others that I would never accomplish anything. Where others were given opportunities, I had to fight for them. For those of you who put your hands up and kept them up earlier, I'm going to make the assumption that you're here because you want to do better than my own parents did. And for that, I thank you. In my late teen years, my parents petitioned the circuit court to become my legal guardians. The case was decided in their favor. But for me, it was just the beginning of a nightmare. A nightmare that lasted 8 years. Under legal guardianship, I had no choices at all. I wasn't allowed to vote, learn how to drive, apply for a job, find a place to live, choose what clothes I would wear or how my hair would look, decide what I wanted to do after graduating from high school, socialize with my peers, or plan activities for my day. And that's just scratching the surface. My parents controlled every single aspect of my life, and they had no intention to give up their absolute power. It was a meaningless and miserable existence. But in 2017, I made a break for it. Possibly against the guardianship, I moved to my grandparents' place. My parents had since divorced, and guardianship over me was the only thing they had left in In 2018, my grandparents managed to convince my father that enough was enough, and I didn't need a guardianship. He went back to court with me to rescind it. My mother raised a stink trying to contest the case, but she ultimately failed. The judge ruled in my favor, and I was free! Unfortunately, there's always that unfortunately part. That freedom didn't last very long. After moving into my own apartment in 2021, I got into some credit card debt. When my father found out, he tried to put me under another legal guardianship. The lawyers told him that would be excessive and to seek financial conservatorship over me instead. My father successfully fooled the judge into thinking the fact that I'm autistic caused me to get into debt. Financial conservatorship was granted to my father, and I lost my rights once again. The conservatorship quickly got out of hand. My father treated it as if I were under a full guardianship all over again. Immediately after court, he tricked the leasing office into getting him a key to my apartment. On top of that, he used the fact that he controlled every aspect of my finances as leverage, threatening to cancel my lease and put me in an institutional setting for one. I decided that I wasn't going to tolerate this abuse and control any longer and contacted Disability Law Center of Virginia. They were able to represent me in court. As my story proves, guardianship and conservatorships are possibly the worst way to take care of someone with an intellectual or developmental disability. And at this point you're probably wondering, so what are we supposed to do instead? There's a better way. Supported decision-making agreements. A supported decision-making agreement, or SDMA, is the least restrictive alternative for helping an individual with their choices. Unlike with guardianships and conservatorships, the individual being supported has the final say. Here are some key differences between a supported decision-making agreement and a guardianship or conservatorship. Supported decision-making agreements keep a person's rights, dignity, and autonomy intact. They do not require legal proceedings. They're flexible and easy to change or revoke. Most importantly, the person gets the help they need, but still makes their own choices. Guardianships or conservatorships completely take away a person's rights, dignity, and autonomy. They require legal proceedings. Once in effect, they're rigid and take a lot of time, money, and effort to change or revoke. But the biggest problem with guardianships or conservatorships is that the person can't even make their own choices because their guardian or conservator does that for them. Now, you're probably about to ask, but Stephanie, what if someone can't do all this? I'm here to reassure you, they most certainly can. When there's a will, there's a way. When you're making a supported decision-making agreement, focus on a person's strengths. For example, let's say someone isn't the greatest at budgeting for groceries, but they're a pretty good cook. You would support them in making a grocery budget and sticking to it. Once it was time to make dinner, what would you do? Anyone?
Walk away.
Exactly. You would walk away and leave them alone in the kitchen. Another component of a successful supported decision-making agreement is accommodations. Let's say a person is non-speaking. Keep in mind, just because they can't talk doesn't mean they can't decide. They can communicate their decisions in other ways, such as with spelling words, text-to-talk apps, or picture cards. Now that you know how supported decision-making agreements work, You're about to learn how to make your own. First, rank ADLs, or activities of daily living, and IADLs, or instrumental activities of daily living, using a scale from 1 to 4. The scale determines what level of support you'd receive on a task if you need it in the first place. 1 is, I can do it all by myself. 2 is, I need some prompting or reminders to do it. 3 is, I need direct help doing it. And 4 is, I need someone to do it for me. Second, identify and make a list on who you would want to support you in each area. This could be anyone you trust, such as your family, friends, caseworkers, direct support professionals, teachers, coaches, and so on. Third, communicate with the people on your list about your intentions. Ensure that they know that this is not a legally binding measure, unlike a guardianship or conservatorship. Fourth, put the agreement in a document and sign it. Make sure you and the people supporting you have your own copies. Bring a copy with you to important places, such as medical appointments or the bank, to let others know you're receiving support. Fifth, make sure to meet with your supporters and update the document when you need to. Make sure that you and your supporters all have copies of the updated document. Can anyone share about some other tools that can be used for remote choices? I will take 3 answers and then I'll give you some more examples. Anyone? Oh, I see a hand over there, lady in the red.
I would say kind of a power of attorney.
Good. Okay, there's one. Any others? Any others? I got time. Oh, I see a hand up back there.
Signing a release. So like if it's a physician that you go to often and you sign a release so that a family member can maybe, call and help to clarify.
Good idea. Release of information forms. Anything else? You in blue?
I use the ABLE account that my daughter has total control over, and when I transfer money from her trust account into that, then she does whatever she wants with it.
That's excellent. Those are some great answers. Power of attorney is where you name someone to make decisions for you in the event that you can't. For example, if you had a medical emergency and were in a coma. It can be revoked or changed at any time, and what it covers can be broad or narrow in scope. Advanced directives are specifically for healthcare. They tell doctors and other medical professionals your wishes and needs in case you can't communicate them yourself. Unlike with power of attorney, however, they usually aren't mandated to follow it. An authorized signer is someone who can view and manage your bank account. You could set it up so that you and your supporter need each other's permission before doing anything with that money. A financial trust allows some of your money to be set aside by another person who is called a trustee. You ask for permission to take money out of the trust. How you use the money may be restricted by the trustee. I'm almost sure that at this point some of you are thinking, supported decision-making agreements sound pretty great in theory, but do they work in practice? There are many case studies showing that supported decision-making agreements actually work. I'm going to share 2 real-world examples. So this thing plays, looks like it will. This video is about a young woman with spina bifida named Gabby. Gabby uses supported decision-making agreements to take a proactive role in her own life, especially as it pertains to her health. Can you hear that? I can't hear anything. or you would hear from if it were working. Someone from the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network who talks about how supported decision-making agreements are better than guardianships, because if Gabby were under a guardianship, she would not be able to make her own medical decisions. He taught, one of the words he uses is perpetual child, but under guardianship, a child literally has more rights than an adult under a guardianship. A dead body has more rights than an adult under a guardianship. I'm not kidding. I mean, you can't even vote. That's the president co-founder of ASAN talking. He's talking about how we should do supported decision-making agreements instead. And Gabby, back to her story, she needed multiple surgeries and she was freezing up. She was nervous. Her supporters helped her make the decision with what she needed, and now her quality of life is improved. This video work is about Jenny Hatch, who has Down syndrome. She actually lives in my home state of Virginia, and her story of getting out of guardianship is similar to mine. She also had a strained relationship with her family. She was working at a thrift store. She was doing great. She's a high school graduate, and then her family put her under a guardianship and sent her to a group home. She couldn't ride her bike. She couldn't go to the thrift store where she worked. She couldn't talk to anyone. She was just staring out the window like a puppy in the pet store. It was a terrible existence for her. The group home actually was physically abusive to her as well, and she managed to get out by creating a supported decision-making agreement with the people who owned the thrift store, who then became her temporary guardians, and now she's free. Sadly, I can't cover everything related to this topic over the course of a breakout session. But the good news is, that's where all of you come in. Could anyone share a resource that could help with a supported decision-making agreement? I'll take 3 answers, and then give some more examples. Anyone? Family could help. Okay, that's a good one. Friends too. Yes, you?
Staff.
Yes, your direct support professionals. Good one.
Coworkers.
Okay, that's a little bit more than 3, I think. To learn more about supported decision-making agreements, here are some helpful resources. The National Resource for Supported Decision-Making is the most comprehensive one I've found so far. Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, or ASAN, explains in easy-to-understand terms. And finally, the ARC of the United States website has resources that you can download for free. To conclude, I'd like to leave you with some words by one of my favorite all-time musical artists, Sting. You can't control an independent heart. Can't tear the one you love apart. Forever conditioned to believe that we can't live. We can't live here and be happy with less. So many riches, so many souls, everything we see there we want to possess. If you need somebody, call my name. If you want someone, you can do the same. If you want to keep something precious, you gotta lock it up and throw away the key. You want to hold on to your possession? Don't even think about me. If you love somebody, if you love someone, if you love somebody, if you love someone, set them free. Everyone has a right to a self-directed life, regardless of ability. We can all work together and take the steps of guardianships and conservatorships, a relic of the past. Every self-advocate and their supporters can join for a brighter future, where supported decision-making agreements are the rule rather than the exception. Let's make a world where choices matter. Thank you. I will now take time for questions. Yes?
Thank you. This was great. And first of all, I think you have another career as a comedian. I wanted to ask, was there a particular tool that you personally used in your supported decision making? Do you have a circle of people?
I have my direct support professionals from Hope House Foundation and other staff from that organization. One of them is actually here with me recording my talk, Stephanie Crum. Let's give it up for her. The great thing about support decision making is truly one size fits one size. The person being supported makes all the decisions. They decide who they want to support them. There are tools online that can help you, and your state's protection advocacy organization can also help you. Yes?
So I came in a little bit late, I may have missed it, but when do you think it's a good time age-wise to start thinking about?
Start them as early as you can with age-appropriate decisions. For example, when your kid is 3 years old, say, do you want to wear the red shirt or the blue shirt? When your kid gets to 10 years old, say, what would you like to do for an after-school activity? Do you want to do taekwondo or do you want to do soccer? I wish my parents had done this with me instead of just putting me in soccer, now taekwondo. But when they get to middle school and high school, you can start saying, hey, who do you want to be friends with? What after-school activities do you want to do? Do you want to be part of the yearbook? Do you want to be on the football team? Do you want to be on the softball team? You know, you give them more independence and choices as they get older and more mature, and you start them as soon as they can talk. Or use a spelling board, or use sign language, or whatever communication needs they may have. Yes?
Over here.
When your parents requested the conservatorship before you turn 18, what were your abilities then? Because I see you right now having a lot of abilities and doing this workshop. What were your abilities at that point?
At that point, I was very academically gifted, but my independent living skills were nowhere near where they are now. But that's because my parents didn't teach me anything.
Exactly.
They had set me up for failure. They had set me up for a life of dependence instead of interdependence. So it's not like I couldn't do things, it's that they wouldn't let me do things.
The laws in our state are a lot different with guardianship. You can't vote, but at the same time, as advocates, we see how much it interferes, and we do not ever recommend it. But what we also see, and we try to tell parents, is how much it interferes with the relationship between that adult child and their family. It ruins it. Have you been able to reconcile with your relationship?
I have not. My parents have been toxic since day one, and I am cutting them off the second I win this next court
I'm
case.
sorry, but I understand that.
First of all, thank you so much for your talk today.
You're welcome.
I feel like you're an amazing speaker, an amazing advocate, and I really applaud you for sharing your story for the benefit of so many people. Here in Ohio, we have the Supported Decision-Making Network of Ohio. And as a parent, I've spoken to that group a couple of times, and whenever I'm in this space, I always want to emphasize that supported decision-making is not one path to follow, that where, like guardianship, you come to a fork in the road, and do you go with guardianship and conservatorship this way, or supported decision-making that way? It's how it feels, and in this situation, it's how it's described, but I also want to emphasize that supported decision-making should be a part of everyone's life, even people who are under guardianship. So if there are people in the world who do need guardianship.
There are. I have to disagree
And
with you on that.
so I always try to emphasize, if you're a parent of someone who really, truly does need guardianship, look every day for ways to support that person in making their own decisions, because it's there. It's a way to improve their relationship with you, but also, everything from what activities they wanna do, or do they wanna go to their date program that day, or are they just not feeling it, or all kinds of everyday decisions, and supported decision-making should be a part of everyone's life, even those who actually do need a guardian.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that and say guardianship is never necessary. There is no nuance there, I believe, but I see where you're coming from at the same time.
I want to say thank you for your presentation. You're a wonderful advocate. My name is Marion Salters. I'm from Connecticut, and I'm an advocate also. I'm my own guardian, and I'm starting to get into support decision making in Connecticut. And I have some support that's going to help me, and I hope to get more people supported decision making in Connecticut.
That sounds
Thank you.
excellent. You're welcome.
I think one of the things that has come out here is that within this supported decision making, as you're moving forward, planning what kinds of steps you need to take to help your individual who's going to be making decisions
Yes.
to get the skills and the knowledge they need so they can be successful. As you say, setting them up for success. And so building that into your plan is very important. You can't just leap in and say, here's a credit card, go and do whatever you want with it.
Definitely not.
Right. So as you build this program and other things, if those resources for that kind of planning that goes hand in hand is not already really built well into that program, let me suggest that you look at providing those tools as well. Because that forward planning, where today I may not be able to have the skills to make the proper decisions in this area, that's my goal, and here's the steps we're going to take to get me there.
Yes, that is an excellent point. You do need to set people up for success and give them the skills ahead of time.
How often have you changed your supporters, and what does that look like?
Currently, I'm working on a support decision-making agreement. Court for the conservatorship has not yet happened, but I'm working on a support decision-making agreement as we speak. Many states, Virginia, for example, where I'm from, has the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disability Services. I probably mixed up that acronym a bit. But they have a template of a support decision-making agreement where you can fill in what you need help with in different areas of your life, where you can write in your supporters. Currently, I'm looking at having mostly support from the Hope House Foundation and some of my friends from church.
Thought about the difference between guardianship and power of attorney is, can the person communicate their wants and wishes? This could be a largely nonverbal person, a person with limited language, who can at least identify what they like and don't like. And then you can build a framework around their supports, because maybe the people who they choose, who care about them, care most about them, are going to make those decisions with their best interest and with them, right?
Yes, it's about making the decision together, not about making
That's
the
right.
decision for someone.
A team.
You've got the message.
I think when you have that sort of, it feels to me healthy, like if I leave this world, my son has this benefit, that there's more than one person looking out in the same community of people who are looking out and supporting,
Yes.
as opposed to one person having unilateral decision-making over a
Exactly.
person, right?
Yes, it makes sense. Support decision making, you can list multiple supporters and different supporters for different things.
Well, I just want to say you're amazing and you're such an inspiration, so thank you so much.
You're
Just
welcome.
just a couple things, what we see in our state, or in some of my opinions. I think that for people who say that guardianship sometimes is necessary, I think that our system has sort of led people to think that and to believe that, or to think they need
Yes.
that. The institutions of that we're a part of, schools, physicians, police officers, people think that if they have a guardianship, it will protect them against these institutions or when they become a part of them. attempted alternatives first. And I really like that in Michigan, they're moving toward that, and I'm hoping to hear more about that, because I think that there are things we can do and talk to our legislators about making sure people have thought about alternatives.
Yes, they do need to promote alternatives first before jumping right into that option, which would be the opposite of what my parents did.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I was wondering, just kind of building off of that comment, I feel like there are a lot of ways that our institutions are set up to, kind of like perpetuate this misconception that guardianships or conservatorships are necessary. And I'm wondering your perspectives on maybe some like legislative or systemic changes that could really kind of like change those systems.
If it were up to me, I would take the Code of Virginia, the part that's written about guardianship and conservatorship, and just rip it in half. Unfortunately, tearing up the law books could be seen as vandalism and destruction of property, and I don't feel like doing that. So a better option that I would take is go talk to your legislators, go tell your story. It has to be your story, it can't be someone else's story. Make up a little one sheet. This is a big part of my advocacy. Write a little elevator pitch. Call up your legislators, email them, mention them on social media, say, hey, this needs to change. Hold rallies at your state capitol. I have an advocacy account where I'm tracking my journey, and part of it does include my conservatorship journey. So if you'd like to follow me, I'll tell you my advocacy account later. If you hear about a conservatorship case, file an amicus curiae brief. Be a friend of the court. Say, hey, I don't think this person needs this. Support people, help them, and put the pressure on your government to do the right thing. Yes, we have a couple people.
Have you ever considered, does one already exist, a technology solution that would package all the necessary documents for someone? If, let's say, you are crossing the street and you get hit by a car and you're not, awake, conscious, and they take you to the hospital, but they know that, you might be a person with a disability, so they're gonna, wait to see what happens, and, are there ways that you can have that document? You're not gonna carry a briefcase around with all of your stuff.
Obviously not.
Right.
What you could do is you could scan it to your phone or your iPad, or you could have one of your supporters have it on their phone or their iPad. Make backups.
But could you create a solution for everybody? That
For
that
everybody?
people could download an app, for example, that would help them make sure they have all that stuff.
I would probably leave that to the tech people. I don't know how to
Not
program.
you personally,
But I would say that there probably could be an app for that. If there's not one already, I would encourage a tech person here to start making one.
I just want to thank you for your presentation and having the courage and bravery to tell your story. I know it takes a lot. And I also wanted to ask you, so in your state, is there a legal provision about supported decision making? I know here in Ohio, we're trying to get Senate Bill 213 passed so that more and more can see and use supported decision making, and so it can be legally listed.
Virginia literally just passed it.
Okay.
And there's also court precedent with Jenny Hatch, whose video wasn't playing, unfortunately.
So I have one more question. Our family's experience with my youngest son, who is now a junior in college, we had no language around supported decision making in high school, at a very good high school that had wonderful services. And we had no choices about where he was going to go next. It was into the transition program for another 4 years. And he advocated for himself and went on to a college program when he was 19. But there was no one on the inside that said that it was an option until we really So I'm just curious why the education system hasn't picked up this language yet, or have they?
Here comes a sassy autistic one-liner, just warning you now, the education system is awful with this. They really are. They need some work on getting new information, and unfortunately, as long as you may have to start some change there, a lot of the time this change happens at the grassroots. Go speak to his high school again, tell them where they messed up, and put on that pressure. Use your voice. Have your son use his voice, or his text to talk app, or whatever he uses. Put that pressure on the school boards. And if they don't like it, well, get another school board, well, elect another school board member who will. Use your voice. Advocate. Put that pressure on to do better.
Understanding how you feel about guardianship, is there any circumstance in which you feel that guardianship is the way to go?
No.
None at all.
None whatsoever. That's why you can advance plan with an advance directive or a power of attorney. If they suddenly can't make their own decisions, you should have planned better.
Any other questions?
Anyone else?
How does this translate if you were moving state to state, with every state having different?
If you're moving state to state, you would have to look up your state's regulations. Just do your research ahead of time.
Do you go places and speak to other self-advocates? So if I were to invite you, and if you cost too much, do you already have like videos that I could use? Because you've just blown me away. I can't say you rock, but you have blown me away. You more than rock.
Thank you. I do not have videos yet, but Stephanie Crumb's been making a video this whole time, and I'm sure she'll send it to me, and I will send it to you if you would like to exchange information later. And my friend over here is also taking videos.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah, you would really rock the Instagram if you told us all your social media accounts, because
Okay.
helpful.
I'll pass that on when around.
I just wanted to mention that, so again in Michigan, my ARC, we began doing what we're calling a supported decision-making campaign. Our local community mental health agency is funding us to do it, and we're speaking at schools, and we're speaking to future medical professionals and future attorneys and judges. So we're starting early so that they can continue to hear that throughout, and hopefully one day that will not be the first thing that people think is necessary. And also, many states have like uniform laws, so Uniform Power of Attorney Act, wherein if you, if a document is created a certain way, the states have to acknowledge it state to state.
Interesting. That's good to know. Anyone else?
Over here, you got someone.
I may disagree with you saying there's never a case for guardianship. My son was in a car accident when he was 19. The police could not tell me who was at fault in the car accident because I was not guardian. The hospital, he didn't go to the brain surgery. The hospital wouldn't give me any information because I was not guardian.
Oh my goodness.
So without guardianship, I could get no information. They couldn't tell me what his temperature was.
Good
Yeah,
grief.
the police
I had
couldn't tell
no
me whether
idea.
alcohol was involved in the car accident. So I had to go to the courts, get immediate emergency guardianship, which I got within 3 days. And then I took it to the hospital and the police department, and then I was given full reports. So,
Good to know.
yes, the POA would have helped me, but when your kid's in high school, you're not thinking, I need a POA for my kid. You know, we did it for my daughter because I went through this. She signed a POA because she turned 18 in case anything ever happened. So, but before
issue doesn't have anything to really do with whether you have a disability or not. This would have been the case if you didn't have a healthcare proxy or power of attorney with any other adult. So, you know, I look back, I have an older daughter, and my son is the one with a disability. So when she turned 18, she's going off to college, you automatically do the healthcare proxy, you do the release of information. At 18, you know, that's, everybody tells you to do that because now they're their own guardian. So you do that for your typical child. When our son with a disability comes to 18, very different conversation.
It is a very different
And
conversation.
shouldn't necessarily be that. You should go, no matter whether you decide to do guardianship or not, you know, the minute they turn 18, you should be doing the power of attorney, the healthcare proxy, just like you do for a typical child.
Yes.
And then, if you know, then it's your decision which way you go, but at least you have those protections in place. I mean, we should all have that for our spouses. Same thing, that all needs to be out there. But we shouldn't have to look at it so differently. Oh, this is a disabled person, so we need to treat all of this differently.
I 100% agree with you. Anyone else? I don't see any other